In this first video, we see the deep anxiety Lute carries. That constant tension that accompanies her finally makes sense once Adam's design in this AU is revealed. He has an appearance that is both angelic and unsettling, along with a smile that doesn't just command respect, it strikes fear. It's an overly confident, incredibly self-assured, almost cruel expression. The new mask design exposing his macabre smile makes him even more disturbing. This version of Adam is much more imposing as the leader of the Exorcists, an army of angels whose sole purpose is to bring fear and death to hell itself. Therefore, their leader shouldn't command anything less than absolute respect. This is necessary so his executioners carry out their duty without hesitation, minimizing deserters like Vaggie, but above all stripping them of their identity and autonomy. We saw this in the previous video, where, by the way, people briefly thought that specific exorcist was Lou herself. Now we know she was just another angel, which proves my point. In this universe, Adam has the exorcist under his absolute subjugation, and his completely dark mask with its empty stare is a direct consequence of this. In fact, if you look closely, we aren't seeing a moment from the present, but rather one of those almost schizophrenic flashbacks that torment Lute. Adam appears with a massive wound on his chest, making it clear that by this point in the story, he is dead, and that is likely the root of the deep hatred Lute feels towards Charlie Morningstar and demons in general. Seeing how every Heaven Dweller's design possesses an almost divine, unattainable essence for demons makes us realize that this is a necessity. It's meant to force the monstrous, abominable creatures of hell to show respect, preventing a potential rebellion by making their superiority as God's blessed beings crystal clear. Actually, if we look back at biblically accurate lore, angels were created this way specifically to terrify demons. This isn't just an aesthetic choice, it's symbolic. Their imposing and terrifying forms reinforce the idea that they represent a higher authority, something that is not meant to be understood or to be comfortable to look at. This is the first time we see Rosie's appearance in this alternate universe. Unlike her design in the original series, her version here is significantly more disturbing. When Alistair goes looking for his old friend, he comes across this scene, which is quite unsettling. That look, that fixed, almost empty stare conveys something far more feral and less refined than the Rosie we know. Not only that, but apparently when Alistair finds her, Rosie was eating. And for those who already know the series, you know exactly what that implies. They don't even need to show it explicitly. The implication is more than enough to make the scene uncomfortable. In this AU, they stripped away some of Rosie's elegant charm and replace it with something more raw and visceral. It's still her, but pushed to an extreme that truly lives up to her reputation. The Overlord of Cannibal Town must command respect among her followers, but above all, she must intimidate any outside creature that even attempts to take control of her people. In fact, the creator of this AU mentioned that sinners with more human features are the ones who still have something left to redeem, something inside them that can still be saved. This visual distinction also marks a moral and spiritual difference from sinner to sinner. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense based on what we've seen. Characters who retain more human facial features seem to hold on to clearer emotions, more genuine bonds, or real internal conflicts. On the other hand, someone like Alistair, whose appearance is far more monstrous, could reflect that there is very little left in him to be redeemed. In the next video, we get a more detailed look at Sir Pence's design with a more realistic style. We can spot several interesting changes here. Instead of wearing his goggles on top of his hat, he now has them over his eyes, giving him a more direct and present expression. Furthermore, his figure appears slightly more humanoid, although he retains his trademark snake tail. Overall, the design doesn't stray too far from the original Hazbin Hotel version, but it does have that slight twist that makes it fit perfectly with the darker tone of this universe. But the one who really changes, and quite a bit, is Nifty. This version is highly disturbing, very fitting for a former overlord who has gone mad and is now under Alistair's control. However, she still retains that unsettling smile she's known for. Her outfit remains similar to the original, keeping that classic housewife aesthetic from the show, but her face and hairstyle take on an older, almost vintage look that perfectly matches this universe's creepier vibe. It's as if they took Nifty's adorably chaotic essence and pushed it a little further into the sinister, and honestly, it works.
Mom, why didn't you protect me? We're supposed to be there for me, Mama.
This last video delves into something that technically could be part of Hazbin Hotel if we adhere to a more biblically accurate version. This time, we see what appears to be Eve's nightmare. For those unfamiliar with the biblical tale, Cain and Abel were the sons of Adam and Eve. Both offered sacrifices to God, but he accepted Abel's and rejected Cain's. Consumed by jealousy and wrath, Cain murdered his brother, becoming the first murderer according to the Christian faith, being punished and forced to live with the mark of shame on his face. What the scene shows seems to point directly to that event, the guilt, the tragedy, and the weight of the first human death. This event is a pretty heavy twist on the Hazbin Hotel lore we all know, because it adds a much deeper emotional and symbolic weight to Eve and the entire heavenly background. Interestingly, the creator of this AU is from Ukraine, a country with a strong Christian tradition, and it shows that she has a deep understanding of biblical lore based on how she integrates these elements and references into the story. Unlike the original show, this AU actively tries to lean more into classic biblical symbolism and tales, giving it a distinct tone that feels deeply rooted in real mythology. In the next video, we see something that was already pretty serious in the original story, but viewed through a more realistic lens with unsettling designs, it becomes even more uncomfortable to watch, despite the obvious touch of humor the creator usually adds to stay true to Hazbin Hotel. If you recall, during the second season of the series, it's made clear that Valentino and Vox had angel dust under their control. Well, this scene seems to represent the exact moment Angel is subjugated by both of them. The sad part is that here, the control Valentino and Vox have over him isn't just implied, you can actually feel it. Angel's posture, his expression, and the way he is framed convey a total loss of autonomy. It's not just workplace or contractual manipulation, it is complete emotional and psychological domination. And the fact that this all happens with these darker, more disturbing designs makes it so much worse. Valentino looks more intimidating and invasive, while Vox projects a much colder, calculating presence. The AU's aesthetic amplifies the horror of the situation. It's not stylized or glamorous, it's uncomfortable and raw. This final segment of the AU is more of an interesting extra. In part 1 of this same video, we saw a scene of Vaggie and Charlie strengthening their relationship and making their feelings clear, all set to background audio from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The community loved it, saying that this single, simple scene made Charlie and Vaggie's relationship far more coherent and compelling than anything we've seen so far in the original series. This second video replicates the same formula, once again using audio from the Disney movie, or rather a song, to showcase Charlie's insecurities about whether she should show her true self to her dear friends. We also see the rest of the hotel, the little family she has built so far, and the way she looks at them with so much love. But even so, there is a lingering question in the air. What is she going to do now? Charlie seems conflicted about her own mask. To wear it or not to wear it, to keep hiding behind this firmer version of herself, or to drop it and be vulnerable. There's a moment where she looks up at the sky as if searching for an answer or perhaps a sign. And that's when it's revealed to us in the form of a flashback that Vaggie kissed Charlie. Just the thought of it is enough to make her blush, indicating that by this point in the AU, they have already made the relationship official. That memory doesn't just make her smile, it gives her strength amidst the chaos, fear, and uncertainty. And for this Charlie, just like her original counterpart, love remains her anchor. The choice of that song is no small detail. Heaven's Light is a deeply emotional, almost confessional track about a love that feels pure, unattainable, and transformative. The fact that the author associates it with Charlie adds an extra layer of meaning to the relationship. This way of showing their relationship progressing little by little makes it sweeter and more interesting than the canon version. There's a process, an emotional evolution, little moments that build up to something greater. In this AU, you can really feel that build up, the vulnerability, vulnerability, the intimacy, and it makes you connect with it so much more. All of this points to something very interesting. Hell and its inhabitants are actually less scary than the angels we've been introduced to, because while the demons are honest about what they are, heaven here feels so much more unsettling.